Hello, beta. Good morning. Today we are start your revision. You should know that your syllabus is completed, and today we are revise your first chapter, and then on Tuesday I have conduct your test on your first chapter. Okay. First of all, we will revise your chapter. Your first chapter, the portrait of a lady. In this story, the author draws a pen portrait of his grandmother. He beautifully unfolds his relationship with her while describing her appearance and daily activities. Okay, step by step we are discussed. First step, appearance of the grandmother. The author recalls his grandmother as a very old lady with a wrinkled face. A wrinkled means full of creases. She appeared so old that it was hard for him to believe that she had once young and pretty. She was short, fat, and little stooped in appearance. The author remembers her moving about the house in spotless white, counting the beads of her rosary, while her lips moved constantly in silent prayer. She was not pretty in the traditional sense, yet her serenity made her beautiful. Serenity means her peaceful nature. Second point, initial year of togetherness. Life in the village in the initial years. Initial means in the beginning years of his life. The author lived with his grandmother in the village, sharing a good friendship. His grandmother used to wake him up in the morning, get him ready for the school. She would hand over to him the things he required the school. After having thick steel chapatis with butter and sugar for breakfast, they used to leave for school. The author's grandmothers always accompanied him to school as it was attached to the temple. It was her habit to carry several steel chapatis for the village dogs, which they used to feed while returning from the school. The grandmother used to sit inside the temple, reading holy books while the narrator learned alphabets and prayer in the morning. Turning point of their friendship. A life in the city, the turning point of their friendship came when they moved to the city to stay with the author's parents. Though they shared the same room, his grandmother no longer accompanied him to the school since the author started going in a bus. As years rolled by, they saw less of each other. Meanwhile, as there were no dogs in the street, she took to feeding the sparrows. Most important point. Unlike the village school, the author was not taught about God and the scriptures. Scriptures means holy books, for example, Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc., which traveled his grandmother. So she did not believe in what was being taught as his school and was unhappy as she could help him with his lessons. Moreover, she was disturbed at the idea of music lessons being given at school as she considered music to be unsuitable for gentle folk. Her disapproval was conspicuous in her silence. Next point, grandmother combats her loneliness by feeding the sparrows. When the author started going to university, he was given a room of his own. It resulted in a further gap between them. She accepted her loneliness and rarely spoke to anyone. All day long, she sat spinning the wheel and reciting her prayer. She relaxed for a short time, only in the afternoon, to feed sparrows, who came in large numbers. The bond and level of comfort they shared with her is evident in that they perched even on her legs and head. First means set. She used to be at her happiest self while feeding the sparrows. Your next point, author leaves for higher studies. The author decided to go abroad for further studies. He was sure that his grandmother would be upset for his departure. On the contrary, on the similar, she came to the railway station to see him off but did not show any emotion. She was absorbed in her prayers, telling the beads of her rosary. She silently kissed the author's forehead, which the author considered to be the last sign of their physical contact. Author's homecoming. On his return after 5 years from abroad, the author did not find any change in his grandmother. She was as old as ever and remained absorbed in her prayer. Even that day, the happiest moment for her was feeding the sparrows. In the evening, for the first time ever, she did not pray. She collected several ladies of the neighborhood and sang songs related to the homecoming of warriors. She had to be persuaded to stop singing in order to avoid overstraining. However, the next day she was taken ill. The grandmother's death, though diagnosed with a mild fever by doctor, grandmother knew that her end was near. She decided to spend the last few hours of her life reciting prayers and telling her beads. Soon her lips stopped moving and she died. A silent tribute by the sparrows. The family went to make arrangements for the grandmother's funeral. As they came with a stretcher, they stopped midway to find thousands of sparrows scattered around her dead body. The sparrows mourned the death of grandmother in utter silence. They ignored the breadcrumbs thrown at them by Arthur's mother and flew away silently after the body was carried away for cremations. The breadcrumbs were swept away the next morning. Okay, student, this is your revision lecture. I hope you understand this chapter, and I hope you should prepare for your test on Tuesday. This lesson, internal questions, external question, textual question, all. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.